Hello, we are Team 5. I'm Ian, the project manager.
Hi, I'm Nad.
Hello, I'm Tonia.
And this is Manuel.
So first of all, what is Project Scope?
Project Scope sets the stage for developing a project plan. It is a definition of the end result of a project. The primary purpose is to define clearly as possible the deliverables for the end user and focus on project plans.
Research shows that a poorly defined project scope is the most mentioned barrier to project success.
The project scope definition is used by the project owner and project participants for planning and measuring the project success. So, if the end results does not match the project scope, the final outcome is likely to be unsuccessful.
Let's go more into detail about the project scope. To ensure that our project scope is complete, it's good to follow this checklist.
Objectives, deliverables, milestones, technical requirements, limits and exclusions, and finally, review with customer.
To start a project on the right track, it is critical for us to have our objective clear, defining our goal that meets customer needs and answers what, when, how much, and at times where, will let us have a good knowledge on how to proceed with the whole project and even let us edit points that do not meet our customers' criteria.
For example, let's assume a gaming company wants us to help develop a simple educational game which needs to be released before the school season next year. Our budget for this project is $300,000 and our coding program is Java.
The project objective would answer all the previous questions, so it would go like this. Develop an educational game through Java before August next year under a budget of $300,000.
Next step is to define the expected outputs for a project. These outputs should be concrete and measurable in order for us to follow a clear path without deviating from the project. So back to our example, to successfully develop the educational game, we need to have
colourful and smooth graphic sprites appealing to kids, different game modes, prototype of the game, final tests, approved software.
Milestones are events with a specific date of completion that build on the main deliverables. It shows only major segments of work. By setting a date of completion to each deliverable, we start visualizing a schedule to follow to keep our project organized and flowing smoothly.
For this project, we have set our requirement specifications for August, design graphics for November, code the game for March next year, complete test plan for May next year, and have a report on changes before the school season on July next year.
To ensure proper performance that meets clients' needs, there are technical requirements that we need to follow. These technical requirements clarify and give specifications on deliverables. Here are some for our game.
Game created with Java programming language. Requires a 64-bit processor and the RAM required is 8 GB.
The project scope is not only about defining objectives but also about setting limits. Defined limits will reassure that the team stays on track and focus on solvable problems and that the customer does not grow false expectations on the team work.
For our project, our development team is not responsible for the game's educational content. Workers can only work up to 48 hours per week unless they accept overtime. Not available in Linux. Not responsible for any deaths.
In the end, we finally review our project with our customer and make sure that it satisfies his or her interests and settle a final agreement. This extra step of clear communication with the customer is imperative to avoid claims that could harm the team's reputation and be costly to the project or the team's overall company.
After following all these steps in the checklist, we have vastly improved our chances of creating a successful game.
Here is how Project Scope is implemented into today's world. Most projects are rarely completed on time and on budget without coming across any hurdles. It is common for most projects to have setback after setback. With a strong and clear project scope and careful planning, these can have little to no effect.
An example of this is the West Kowloon MTR station. This massive project had examples of well thought out project scope, taking notes of previous construction failures. The project was finished within the time limit and on budget. Scope creep is the main cause of failure in a project. This is where a project statement is not updated to the current standings.
An example of a poor project scope was the implementation of a new NHS IT system. The NHS was set to implement a groundbreaking new IT system that would be the world's largest civilian database. However, it soon became one of the largest project failures in the UK, costing the taxpayer millions. A catastrophic project scope and very poor scheduling made by the UK government, project managers and senior executives caused a large cost for the taxpayer of up to £10 billion.
The project suffered from scope creep. As more advancements came present with time, the IT system that the NHS chose to install was becoming inferior. The project scope gave no room to change supply companies or update their plan. With poor scheduling, the installation of the system started to become idle, and the project began to delay. With more and more money incentives from the government, the project started to become a large expense.
That's everything you need to know about Project Scope. I hope this video can help you make your future projects a success.
The last thing we'd like to say before we leave is thank you to you, Professor, for teaching us.
It's been a great experience to be part of this class. The experience wouldn't have been the same without you.
And thank you to everyone else in the class. It was great meeting so many great people from places around the world.
And that's all from us. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you.